الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم ابسط علينا رحمتك وانشر علينا من حكمتك وافتح لنا فتوح العارفين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. آمين يا رب العالمين. Inshallah, the elders can go on the walls, the young ones come in the middle, like the one on the phone. That's not discrimination, that's laziness. Khair, inshallah. It's been a while, and subhanallah, I've missed this for quite a while now, and I was looking forward to it today especially. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll continue from where we stopped. We finished off al-ghusl, which is a ritual bath. And we said, in terms of taking a bath, there are several reasons that you do so. And the main one that we discuss, and we mainly discuss all the time in fiqh, is janaba. But then you have the reason of such as ghusl al-jum'ah, maybe because of the two Eids, and so forth. All right? And as well, don't forget, we said about the deceased, the one who has passed away. You give them a ghusl as well during the kafn before the dafn. That's what we do. Now when it comes to our topic or subject today that we have is at-tayammum. At-tayammum huwa badalun min al-wudu'i nafsi. Tayammum is the exception or maybe the alternative instead of wudu'. The actual wudu we talk about all the time. One of the things that we mentioned, and I wouldn't question you because it's been a while, there's a difference between al-wudu and al-wadu. We mentioned that last time. You can go back to the classes inshallah in Darul Ummah Gosebrook on YouTube. Go to the live section, you'll find them there. Bismillah al-Kareem. One thing I would ask Darul Ummah though, to put a mark on every class, so people can know what class was there, what did we cover. It will be much, much easier, inshallah. Today's class, as we are on tayammum, now as we said, al-wudu and al-wadu, those are two different things. One of them means water, the water that we use, and one of them means the action of wudu itself. So which one is it? Inshallah, that's your homework for next Saturday. أما التيمم فصل في فرائض التيمم وسننه وفضائله. In tayammum, we're going to look at the fara'id of tayammum, the obligations of tayammum, the sunan of tayammum, which are the recommendations of tayammum, recommended action mainly, and then we have the fada'il, the meritorious acts which you will be rewarded for them, inshallah ta'ala. That's what we're going to do. However, there are other parts of tayammum which the author has left out, because as we said, this book is for beginners, for those who want to just start delving into some fiqh a little bit, or mainly learning their fard ayn, which is obligatory upon them as an individual. This book suffices them for now. However, if you want to go any further, you must understand that it is not enough for this one. It doesn't cover everything. For example, it does cover the sunan and the fada'il, but it doesn't cover the makruhat, the disliked acts, nor does it cover the muharramat, those of which are haram. And you can be wondering maybe why would there be a haram in tayammum? For example, what about the substance you use to do tayammum? It can be haram. And what does it do? We call it a mubtil. It causes the tayammum to be what? Nullified. You invalidate your tayammum, perhaps with what you use or how you do it, and so forth, inshallah. And I prepared that topic here today when it comes to hukm shara, but I wouldn't want to go into it today. I said rather I would go into it next week for a reason, because we're finishing one part of fiqh in itself from the book, and then when we start the next part, not a chapter, the next part, it's easier for you now to understand what I'm trying to refer to. But what does hukm shar'i mean? I'm just going to explain it to you a little bit. The lawgiver's judgment. The lawgiver's judgment or ruling. What the lawgiver, the shari', and who is the lawgiver? Who gives the law? Who is it? No Imam. The Imam follows. Who gives it? Where did he receive it from? Barakallahu fi. From Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. The one who gives the law is Allah. ثم جعلناك على شريعة من الأمر. Then we placed you on a sharia, on a flowing path, from this matter. فاتبعها, then follow it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told this in Surah Al-Jathiyah. As we have placed you on this flowing path, it's a path which is clear. All you need to do is follow it, which means that he didn't even know it himself. He had to take it from Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So hukm shara, something that you need to know. When it comes to hukm, making a judgment, there are three types. And we're going to conclude on this today. Sorry, not on this topic. On the entire class today. I mean, on this topic, we're going to conclude on this. There are three types of judgments. There is al-hukmu al-aqli. There is the judgment of the mind, when the mind judges. And there is al-hukm al-adi, natural judgment. Basically, for example, you're thinking judgment which is natural. How? You're hungry. Your body is telling you it's time to do what? No, it's time to munch. Yeah, it's time to munch. Now, as you know, it's time to eat. It's natural. The animals experience that. Human beings experience that. All of other creatures of Allah, they do experience that. They all fall hungry. It's part of nature. Okay? What about al-hukm al-aqli, the judgment of the mind? It's like, for example, that's your son, right? MashaAllah. May Allah make him a sheikh. Inshallah. And worthy of his position and name. I mean, for example, if I say, Abu Yasir came with his son, and his son is here. Does that make sense to you? Come on. It's simple. Does it make sense to you? Yeah. Where is he? Is here, right? But if I say his son is not here right now, does that make sense? No. It doesn't. So by the judgment of your mind, you realize it's either it makes sense because it does make sense. As it happened, you can see it. Or it doesn't make sense because it's not the truth. So it's either truth or false. One of those. But sometimes, it's not that it's going to be clear as day, as you see it right now. He's either here or not. What about Allah? If we say that Allah mawjood, Allah exists, He is here with us, Allah is our Lord and He does exist, would you immediately say, yes, that's true? Or for a person who doesn't understand that, they need to start thinking first and follow all of the qara'in. When we say qara'in, all of the evidence that drives them to that. Understood? So when you want to convince someone that Allah exists, for the mind to make sense of that, they have to go through the evidence. For example, like a Arab, he was asked, do you believe that Allah exists? How? He said, Al-ba'ra tadullu ala al-ba'ir. The droppings of a camel is the sign of a what? Of a camel that passed by. And also, as-sayru tadullu ala al-masir. If you look at the the footsteps that you see on the road, foot markings, what do you realize? That someone passed by here. And if you look at the ard and you look at the sama, doesn't it show you that there is the one who created it? That's how they understood things. In today's day and age, that's not how it works. People are so confused that even when you try to convince them, you become confused, not them anymore. That's how bad it is. However, we realize. So when it comes, yeah. So when it comes to making a judgment by the mind, sometimes it's clear. You know, it's straight. It happens. Does he exist? Yes. If I say he's not there, it doesn't make sense. He is there. But then when I tell you something, for example, something that is not in your mind immediately, you have to make sense of it. And then you follow the evidence, like following on a case. How would it make sense that it did happen truly? You follow along with the case and the evidence, and you follow the trail, you realize, oh, it's true, it did happen. So the mind concludes by following through the evidence, like that. But when it comes to al-hukm al-shar'i, the sharia judgment, it's not a judgment which the mind makes, nor would you find it through nature. You would only find it from the khitab of Allah. The command which comes directly from Allah. We cannot make sense of it. It's like, for example, today, it's a common example. We always say, دائما نقول نصلي لحكمة كذا وكذا. We pray because of hikmah, the wisdom of so and so. We have this type of wisdom, this type of wisdom. Actually, the truth is, we wouldn't make sense of that. Because if we're going to pray because of taqarruban ila Allah, so that we can be close to Allah, then it's enough for us to pray the morning prayer and the evening prayer, khalas. You begin your day with praying and you conclude your day with praying. But why do we pray 5 times a day? Ijbaran. Obligatory. You must pray. Hatman, whether you don't have a choice. Regardless of what situation. Whether الذين يذكرون الله قياما. When Allah mentions يذكرون الله قياما, not those who mention Allah in dhikr alone, but the first level. Those who pray, qiyaman, standing, وقعودا, if they can't stand, they sit. Or if they can't sit, على جنوبهم, on their sides. Like that. ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. Allah already gives you the path. When He says, qiyaman, qu'udan, that's literally للترتيب. Over here, even though al-waw lil-atf, lakin at the same time lil-tartib. You know Allah is giving you an order. You first stand. You can't, you sit. If you can't sit, you lay down. Alright? So what do you realize? Al-hukm al-shar'i is not something that we make sense of it. We follow it because we believe in Allah. As long as سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. Why do you say that every time? سمعنا, we've heard. أطعنا, and we've obeyed. غفرانك ربنا, your forgiveness, O Allah. O our Master, your forgiveness. Why do you say that? It's because we realize, even though we've listened, we've absorbed it, we've taken it in, and we've tried to obey it, but we are not perfect. There's always going to be a flaw. Immediately you ask Allah for forgiveness. Hence, when you finish salah, first thing is not even Allahumma anta salam. It's astaghfirullah 3 times. Those astaghfirullah is to cover for what is missing in salah. So that's why I said I'll keep it for next week so you realize how this works, inshallah. Okay? It's quite long. We might even just talk about this only next week before we enter into salah. Because after that, it's salah immediately now. Okay, after that is salah immediately now. Now, are we going to focus on the other types of judgment, the intellectual judgment, the natural judgment? No, we're just going to focus on the sharia judgment, the lawgiver's judgment, which is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. What type of judgment has He given us? How does it divide? And how do we understand it so that we can make sense of everything? Why do we do wudu? Why do we pray? How do these 2 things tie together? If this one is missing, then the other one does not become complete. Or if you fulfill this one without this, then there's an issue. For example, like that. Understood? Hence, when we spoke about, for those who remember, when we talked about a shart, condition, what does condition mean? Do you remember when we mentioned something about it? And we mentioned something called mani', a barrier. What does a barrier mean in Sharia? I want you to remember these as you go back to the classes, inshallah. What does a condition mean in Sharia? ما يلزم من عدمه العدم ولا يلزم من وجوده عدم ولا وجود. Okay? And المانع ما يلزم من وجوده العدم ولا يلزم من عدمه وجود ولا عدم. It's a little bit opposite. So what do you realize? These shurut that we learned and also the barriers that we learned, that literally, for example, we said, if you might remember and recall, we said that a woman who enters into her menses, that's a barrier for, towards what? Salah. Barakallahu feek. So what caused for her not to pray? The menses. Isn't it? We said when it comes to the condition, for example, among the conditions of prayer is to do what first? Wudu. Barakallahu feekum. Without it, your salah is not accepted, isn't it? Now, if I have wudu, do I have to pray? Just the fact that I have wudu, do I have to pray? And if salah time enters, do I have to pray immediately? I don't. Because I have time, isn't it? So you realize among the conditions, even if it's a condition that exists, it existing does not mean that it has to happen, something has to happen immediately. But for that thing to happen as well, something else has to come in. Do you now recall at least of what we mentioned in the previous classes? Barakallah fi. Now let's come to tayammum. Let's come to tayammum. And I'll close this for now. Babun fi tayammumi. Now if you have your text, inshallah, ahlan wa sahlan. If you don't, for now, did you get your text? You did. Bring it next time when you come in, inshallah. And I'm hoping to see you every Saturday, bismillah. You don't have school, you don't have nothing. Only if you have other classes, that's different. But other than that, make this your class. قال التتائي. Now this is literally out of the text. It's not in the text. Inshallah, all right? It's out of the text. But what does he mention? He mentions something really important. He says, التيمم من خصائص هذه الأمة كالوضوء والصلاة على الميت. Although I'll take away that second part. Tayammum is among the specialties of this ummah, which all of the al-ummah al-sabiqah, the past nations, they were not given this gift. How do we do tayammum? By using the earth. What the earth contains, isn't it? But not leaves and trees and grass. You don't do that. That's not what it means. But when we talk about the earth contains, you understand. It's simple. Because all of us understand how to do tayammum. We're just going to add on that for you to have an expansion on your understanding. Expand your horizons of understanding how to do tayammum. That's what fiqh does. Expands your mind. It shows you, it gives you the ability to think outside of the box. Understood? Okay. He said that among the specialties of this ummah, or the specificities of this ummah, is tayammum. It's a gift from Allah. But wudu, every single ummah of the past did have it. Although at-Tata'iyyu mentions it here by saying that wudu is among the specialties of this ummah. لكن بعض العلماء or أكثر العلماء, the majority of the ulama, كثير من العلماء, what they have done, they refuted that. They said no, actually the previous nations as well, they had wudu. But for this ummah, it's not disputed on the fact that tayammum is a blessing that Allah has given us alone. For a reason. Al-Umam al-Sabiqah, previous nations, they were not able to pray anywhere. So among the gifts that Allah has given us is that we can pray anywhere on this earth, as long as it's tahir. When the Sahaba entered the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taking off his sandals, his shoes. And they did the same. After Salah, Al-Habib al-Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked them, why did you take your shoes off? They said, because we saw you taking your shoes off. He said, in response, Jibreel alayhi salam came to me and told me that your shoes had najasa, hence I told you to take them off. But this didn't apply to you. Which means if your shoes are clean, you can pray with your shoes on. Understood? And if you, for example, stand anywhere, you can't find a masjid, or maybe you're out with your family, out and about, it happens a lot. And you know salah time is coming to an end, you have your prayer mat maybe, or if you don't, you have your jacket because you don't feel comfortable to just pray on the ground clearly like that. What do? Just lay it down and pray. Allah has given us that as a gift. The previous nations, they had to go to their praying areas, to their musalla, or to their masajid, or to their homes where they have to pray. They didn't have an option. It was just like, if they can't, they had to delay their prayer. So the fact that we can pray anywhere is a blessing that we have to cherish. If you go to other scriptures, for example, or other adyan, al-adyan al-samawiyya, other religions, which are heavenly religions, such as Christianity or Judaism, you realize they don't have this. We do. If you read in the Testaments, you realize that they don't have this ni'mah. We do. Understood? And the fact that we can pray on the earth anywhere, and we can do tayammum by using the earth, it explains something as well. It explains something. Hence we have tayammum. If it wasn't for Allah telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, among the gifts I've given you is you can pray anywhere and the earth is clean for you, we would not have had tayammum. That's why we have tayammum. Does that make sense? Inshallah. So let's come now to the fara'id of tayammum. What time is it? Okay. We'll try to keep it until 2:20 inshallah and conclude. and Allah will bless your soul. And may Allah will save mine. I want mine to be saved before receiving blessings. Inshallah. وَلِلتَّيَمُّمِ فَرَائِض وَسُنَنْ وَفَضَائِل. Tayammum has obligations, the obligatory side of it, and then the sunan, which is the sunnah acts of it, and then the fada'il, the meritorious, those of which you do, they complete and perfect your tayammum. He says that أولا فأما فرائضه فأربعة. When it comes to the obligations, you can go inshallah, don't worry. When it comes to the obligations of tayammum, there are 4. Okay? Lakin in other texts, they say فروضه خمس صعيد طهورات. There are 5, some of them say even more than that. But let's take 4 from this inshallah. الأول النية, intention. Notice, remember, every topic that we've covered has intention. This intention, which many people today they've taken it lightly, it literally covers nearly our entire faith, our entire deen. إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. لذلك الإمام النووي رحمه الله تعالى عندما جمع كتابه الأربعون النووية, when he put together these hadith, about 42 or 43 hadith, the first hadith he started with is إنما الأعمال بالنيات, because he realized everything else literally is going to fall down into this. You don't complete this, the rest is lost. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله. For the one who migrates for the sake of Allah and His Messenger, his migration will be for the sake of Allah and His Messenger. But the one who migrates for the sake of dunya yusibuha, they've been afflicted with the dunya. Notice, it's genius how Rasulullah mentioned it. لِدُنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا, they've been afflicted with this dunya. أَوْ إِمْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِحُهَا, women are dangerous. That's why Rasulullah mentioned this person might even migrate because of a woman that he wants to marry. A woman pulls him anywhere. Trust me, I'll tell you what. Your wife demands today and commands. If she throws that big woman tantrum, there's nothing you can do about it. You all know that. Especially, young man is laughing because he sees it a lot at home. And if there were other children over here, they would have done the same. No. Look at his face, it's already turned red. That's natural, you cannot escape it. Understood? خُلِقْنَا مِنْ ضِلَعٍ أَعْوَجٍ. They are created from a bent what? Bent rib. So it's natural. You try to straighten it out, it will break. You try to keep it that way, it will still remain that way. So what do? You keep it, you just make it soft and you soften it like that. Al-Muhim. So the first one is intention. وَهِيَ أَنَّ يَنْوِيَ إِسْتِبَاحَةَ الصَّلَاةِ. It is to do what? To make the intention to make you that salah halal, mubah, to be accepted. Now understand this. This raises the question, is it every salah then? Or is it just some salah? لذلك he says over here, first of all to mention, when it comes to istibahatul salah, to make your salah accepted, to lift that barrier for you to be able to pray, it's not for only, it doesn't just happen, you just have to do it tayammum for just any case, no. It's only when you are in these 2 conditions. Imma anta fil hadath al-asghar, you are in minor impurity, you're in a state of impurity but minor one. Okay? In that one you just make intention that you're doing tayammum for the sake of salah. It's simple. But when you are in a state of major impurity, وَإِن كَانَ الْحَدَثُ الْأَكْبَرُ, but if it is major impurity in this case, what do? You have to make the intention directly that you are lifting that barrier because you are either in a state of janaba or saw. Understood? And there is none other than janaba. Except for the women, it can be nifas, postnatal circulation, or it can be menses. Any one of those. Is that very clear? But for the men, it's always what? Janaba. Nothing else. Understood? And because of this, if you are in a major impurity state, then that's when you make the intention directly referring to that, saying that I am making this intention to lift the state of hadath I'm in, which is major impurity, so that I can fulfill my salah. Question is though, does tayammum lift your hadath completely? Does tayammum lift the impurity completely? Does it? No. Tayammum is just a means to an end, so that you can just use it so you can fulfill something, such as salah. Now that's number one. Number two, you realize from this tayammum that we are doing to make the intention, as he said that listibahati salah, so that you can at least lift the barrier for you to pray, then it means not every prayer you can do so. When you make the intention for you to do tayammum, once you have done tayammum, it only allows you to pray one faridah, one obligatory prayer. Khalas. That's it. Just a second. If it's dhuhr, you pray dhuhr. If it's asr, you pray asr. If it's maghrib, you pray maghrib. If it's isha, you pray isha. If it's fajr, you pray fajr, and you do not mix between two salahs with one tayammum. What about the sunan, the nawafil then? The nafil prayers? You can. Pray as much as you want. But as long as you haven't found water though. Once you find water, you cannot pray anymore. You have to go do what you need to do. What was your question?
I said that you are in a place, there's no access of water at all.
Yeah.
And then, they said, it's winter time, like, they are like closed for summer, because what could you do?
You do tayammum for the first one, and mainly close salah which are close is dhuhr, asr and maghrib, isn't it? You do tayammum for the dhuhr separately, for asr separately, for maghrib separately.
So you still can do that?
Still can do tayammum, yeah. Can do tayammum. It's actually...
Without soil, you can do tayammum. Without soil, you can...
No, not without soil, no. Not without soil.
So you do not get any soap, then what?
Some people use the wall.
You can't use the wall. We'll come to that. Yes.
Yes, if you have a major
Impurity, yeah.
a major impurity like janaba, and it's time for salah, and like assuming you're probably in the desert, you have no water and you have major impurity on you. So can you do tayammum and observe the prayer in that situation?
Yeah, you can, yeah. You can.
So what happens when you get water? Maybe after
You don't pay back those salah. You just lift the hadath, which you do, you take an entire bath now, and then you carry on with the rest of your day. Does that make sense? Yes, yeah. Intercourse, yeah. As simple as it is. I wouldn't go any further. You understand?
Sometimes we are journey.
Yeah.
The train. There is no soil, no water. Then what can we do?
You're referring to, for example, us in this country, isn't it? Or in other anywhere.
Is it travel can be delayed, isn't it?
If it's travel, if you're traveling and you're going on a long journey, then you take the advantage of qasr salah. You reduce the prayer.
But I have need to complete wudu or tayammum. But there is no option to get wudu or tayammum. Then what can I do?
That's why they said وَأَسْقَطُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَالْقَضَاءَ عَنْ عَادِ مِنْ صَعِيدَهُ وَالْمَاءَ. If a person is in a position where they cannot find any sort of earth anywhere of what you can use from the earth, you can't find it anywhere, nor can you find water, and you're stranded in the middle of that, then the salah is dropped at that time. Okay? But in that situation, it means that you're going to have to pay back that salah later. Not for the one that literally has been jailed and now they are hanging in the middle of the air and they've been there for days. That person, they don't have to pay those salahs back.
By this time, if I will die, by this time, during this time, if I will die, then
Allah forgives you. If you die in that time,
Intention.
yeah. In that time, Allah forgives you because you did not do it on purpose. You had no choice. Does that make sense? شوف لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah would not push you, because He knows. Okay, you tried, you looked for means, you tried to. It's like, for example, you're traveling on the Eurostar. You're going to France. How long does it take?
16 or 17 hours.
An hour and a half. So in an hour and a half, let's say you left with a 1 o'clock train, and it's winter time. Dhuhr ends literally about 1:40 and it's Asr immediately. And then you know Asr as it enters, from then it will be about what time? Let's say 1 o'clock, you reach to your destination at 3. It's 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
About 2 hours, somewhere around there? 2 hours. It's around, what is it? 3 o'clock. Luckily, Maghrib has not entered yet. Now, if you look at your situation, you've lost Asr. Actually, you've lost Dhuhr, sorry. You haven't prayed it, isn't it? What do? Do you forget Dhuhr? No. When you reach, you pray Dhuhr and Asr. So when it comes to issues like those now, we're going to cover them in Salah. Don't worry about that. How to put the Salahs together when necessary. Okay? So it will be, basically, it's very rare for you to lose Salah. But when you miss Salah, and because of a situation like that, you were in a journey and that, you can pay back that Salah. But it's different from a person that had no option completely. They are in a state that they've been put there unwillingly.
Somebody touched the wall.
The wall doesn't work. That's why I wanted to try if I could see if I can cover those. However, let me finish the fara'id. If we don't finish them, inshallah, we'll try finish the rest of the other ones. We'll cover those next week, but I'll mention it to you at the end of the class, okay? Which I'll ruin the rest of the other class of next week. Wait a second. Don't forget your question, please. Don't forget your question.
You're not gonna finish.
I'm holding a lot of people. Some of them want to go. Look, an-niyah, awalan. We said the first one is intention. Second one is ta'meemul wajh. Okay? Ta'meemu wajhihi is to do what? Wajhihi wa yadayhi ila ku'ayh. Sorry. Ta'meemu wajhihi wa yadayhi ila ku'ayh is to cover his entire face and his hands all the way to his wrists. We're talking about the fard of tayammum, not the other ones. We're talking just about the fard of tayammum. Now the obligation of tayammum is to cover your face and then your hands all the way to your wrist. Hence people just do this, like that, and then they switch to the other side like this, and then they come in. You start from the outside and then inside. Outside and then inside.
It's fast.
Have for right hand. Right hand like this. First like that.
Then face.
Okay. You can do it like that as well, yeah. But over here he says, you start ta'meemu wajhihi, you start with the face, then you go with the hands. وَيَدَيْهِ
First
لَكُعَيْهِ. Face and hands. He doesn't give you an order. Doesn't give you an order.
I think first,
Yeah. That now is a sunnah.
then face, then hand.
Now when you do all the way to your hands, then that's when you do this and then all the way. Wait, we'll come to that.
You're jumping too much now.
Let's finish off this first. You cover your face and your hands. He gave you the order. It's face and hands. Just up to here. Okay? Alas, that's one. That's number two, sorry. Number three, the first strike of what you use as the substance from earth. Understood? The first strike. And as you do that, you do not need to repeat the strike because it's the fard. Not the sunnah, the fard. You don't repeat the strike. وَالضَّرْبَةُ الْأُولَى وَفَوْرٌ ثُبَّ. Understood? And then he says, the fourth one, sorry, الصَّعِيدُ الطَّاهِرُ. It is to use pure earth. Okay? وَهُوَ كُلُّ مَا صَعِدَ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْأَرْضِ. Everything that literally fell on the face of the earth. Basically that which lies, which is on top of the face of the earth. Now that's what he mentions. We're going to come to, can I tap the houses? Can I tap the buildings? Yes or no? Understood? Now he mentions it here. وَلِذَا بَيَّنَهُ بِقَوْلِهِ. And that's not from the text. He, some of them are mentioned outside, but from the text he mentioned a little bit. He says, min turab, from dust. Number one is dust. That's clear. Clear dust that you find out there, you're happy with that. أو رمل, or soil. Okay? Sorry. Turab is dust. Turab is soil. Sorry. Turab is soil. Okay? Which covers together with dust. When you find soil out there, or dust, for example, like you see parts on the ground, use that. It's fine. أو رمل, or sand. Raml, sand itself. You go to the beach, find sand, Let's go. Understood? Hijara, stones. Natural stones on the earth. But not tarmac. That's literally become big balls and then they're left on the ground and you say that's a stone. Not that. That's artificial. Alright? أو سبخة أو نحو ذلك من ثلج أو خضخاض أو معدن. For example, معدن or معدن, when he mentioned this, what is معدن? It's, for example, he says over here, كالكبريت, or maybe, yeah, he says it down here. I don't want to read it from the top of my head. I want to make it كالكبريت والزرنيخ والمغرى والشب والكحل والنور والحديد. It's, for example, those of which come from the earth. Okay? What does he mention? If you see metal from the earth. Yeah? Not bricks. I'll tell you why not bricks. You find metal on earth, or you find other, for example, like sulfur. Do you know what sulfur is? Rocks which look yellow. They're these rocks which look kind of like crystal, like halo and all of that. Those you can use them. Those you can use them. Okay, they are part of the earth. Does that make sense?
Like mountains or rocks.
Yeah, like rocks, yeah. Like on the mountain. They're from the mountain. Use them. However, why do we say don't use the buildings? Don't use bricks. Don't use cement. It's because remember, or salt, for example. If you go to the beach and you find blocks of salt, you can use that for tayammum as well. Or maybe let's say you went to Antarctica and there's blocks of what? Ice and snow, isn't it? Use those. You're fine. It's part of the earth. However, the salt, the Sachs salt that you have at home and then you pour it on your lovely eggs or chicken, don't. That's manufactured. The walls that we have, the bricks, they are burnt. They're not natural. Understood? Cement is manufactured and all of that. That's why you cannot use them. Hence, the ulama, they suggest, if you know you're going on a journey, somewhere perhaps, you're not sure whether you're going to have water or not, in your bag, carry a little stone, just this little stone. Go outside, find one, collect it, and then clean it nicely, keep it in your little box, wherever you go, you go. Even if it's just like this, as long as you can hold it in your hand, rub your hand like this. Khalas. Huh? No, Shia use that to place the heads on the floor. No, they use that to place, because they believe the head has to touch the earth. You get what I mean? Lakin, the ulama, the Maliki scholars, they all suggest, have that with you, keep it in your bag, wherever you go. If you lose water or in your situation that perhaps you're ill, you cannot use water. And as you said, it gets into winter. It's extremely cold. And you've gone somewhere where there is no hot water at all. And you cannot heat it up. In that situation, what do? You just suffice with your little stone. I don't know about the Ahnaf. But they all follow the same thing. However, the Ahnaf, they have some, I don't know if they have some restrictions or not. I haven't read into that. But I believe some other madhahib, they do have restrictions. Some of them, they are quite easy. In the Shafi'i school, I believe anything that's from the earth, even if it's bricks and that, because it came from the earth, use it. It's fine. Although they have their conditions as well. However, when it comes to us, we're specific. It's just the earth. When Allah made it as a gift to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it had to come from the earth. Hence we have tayammum like that. Remember that always, inshallah. Okay? So that is from the fara'id. And we said that we're going to conclude at 2:20, but we've added another 5 minutes. Unless you want me to push more, I don't mind. Honestly, I can sit here until 4 o'clock. Happily. It's not me the problem. It's about you. I'm thinking about you. You want it? You want us to carry on and enjoy it? We can stay together. You can't? Ahlan wa sahlan. Honestly, happily I'll let you go. Inshallah. You can stay, but others have obligations. You want to go? Yes. You sure? Can you stay? 5 minutes? Yourself? You sure? I hope I'm not taking away your lunch from home. Musa would have run away with it. Can you stay? Inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. Okay. Coming to the sunnah now. I wouldn't want to mention a lot of what is given over here, inshallah. Okay? We mentioned it already. You cannot pray 2 fard prayers with 1 tayammum. But you can pray every single sunnah you want with the same tayammum. So even if you have to do it multiply in that one day, multiple times, it doesn't matter. You have to do that, inshallah ta'ala. We've covered all of that. When it comes to the sunan of tayammum, وَلَمَّا فَرَغَ مِنْ فَرَائِضِهِ شَرَعَ فِي سُنَنِهِ فَقَالَ. فالمصنف رحمه الله تعالى, he's teaching us, telling us, وَأَمَّا سُنَنُهُ فَثَلَاثَةٌ وَسُنَّ مَسْحٌ مِنْ يَدٍ لِلْمِرْفَقِ وَجَدِّدِ الضَّرْبَ وَرَتِّبْ وَارْفِقِ. Now that is from Ashal al-Masalik, but from this one, he says that, and the sunan of tayammum, there are three. Tartibul mash. The same question you had. Is to do the tayammum in order. How do you do that? بأن يمسح الوجه قبل اليدين. To wipe his face before the hands. Okay? فإن مسحه بعدهما. And if he does wipe his hands before the face, this text al-Jawahir al-Zakiyah, he says أعاده استحبابا. He would repeat it as so is it? Istihbaban is to say it's good to do so. But al-ulama, they say no. It's not istihbaban, istinanan. It's actually even highly recommended to do so. It's highly recommended to repeat that. So you start with your face and then your hands. There's a reason why. Because among the sunan, he says now, وَالثَّانِيَةِ الْمَسْحُ مِنَ الْكُوعِ إِلَى الْمِرْفَقِ, is to add on your wiping that you add all the way to your elbows. So which one is the fard? When you wipe your hands, all the way to your wrist. But when it comes to the sunnah, all the way to your elbows. Okay? So you start with your first hand. You go, which is the right hand, you go wipe the outer part of your hand, and then you go on the inside. And then you switch. You go up all the way to the elbow, and then go all the way down. Yeah, you do this as well. You go through the fingers as well. Barakallahu fiqh. Now he mentioned the third one is tajdeedul darbah lil yadayn. As you strike the earth first, as you strike the earth first time, one time. Strike once, and then you wipe your face. The fard is, you can just strike once, wipe your face and hands, that's it. The sunnah, however, is to strike for the face separately and to strike for the hands separately. That's the sunnah. You know what it is? We learn and we know how to do this, isn't it? Hence the ulama, the rifqan ala al-ummah, out of mercy for the ummah, they said, remember when we talked about ghusl? How about if a person as an imam is going to lead salah, but he doesn't know and cannot separate the difference between a fard part of ghusl and sunnah part of ghusl and fadl part of ghusl, the meritorious deed of ghusl? Is his ghusl accepted? Remember when we mentioned that? We said that some say, no, it's not. But the majority, they say what? It is. As long as he has fulfilled his ghusl completely. It doesn't matter whether he mixed the sunnah and the fard together. As long as he's completed his ghusl completely. Now when it comes to tayammum, the reason why, for example, all of these other ones, why we do that is so, for example, what did we say? If you are left in a position where you just have to do the fard, you just do the fard. And if you just wish to do the sunnah, you do the sunnah. And then you realize, if I am to let go of the meritorious one, does it nullify or invalidate my deed of what I'm doing? If it's wudu, or if it's tayammum, if it's ghusl, if it's salah. Because when it comes to salah, you realize, why is it so important? Because some, if they miss the fadila mathalan, I'll give you an example. In tashahhud, salah mathalan, is the sitting important? Or the reading also regarded as a sunnah? Mathalan, for example. In the first tashahhud, I'll give you the first tashahhud. If you miss the first tashahhud, is the tashahhud itself sunnah or a fard?
The first one, it's sunnah.
The first one is sunnah. But when you read in the first one and you say at-tahiyyatu lillah, zakiyatu lillah, all of that, is that a sunnah or is a fadl? Is a meritorious deed? It's a meritorious deed.
First or second?
Huh?
First or second?
On the first one. It's not a sunnah. It's a meritorious deed. So if you don't read it, mathalan, do you do sujood sahu for it? If you do, you've nullified the entire salah. You have to start again. Do you see how it is? So that's why people don't pay attention. لماذا خسرت الأمة? Why do you think this ummah has failed? I'll be very honest with you. The ummah in itself is not dead. It doesn't mean it has died completely. That's not what it means. But failed we have. Because we've neglected what is ours. And what's ours is tradition. And tradition to us is ilm, is knowledge. And when we abandoned ilm, we fail to practice our ilm, our tradition. And what is our culture? Millata abikum Ibrahim. The culture of your father whom? Ibrahim. It's what Ibrahim alayhi salam left for us. Huwa sammakum muslimin. He's the one that summoned you and gave you the name Muslim, submitters to Allah. Min qablu, from before. Wa fi hadha. And even in this situation now. So that ليكون الرسول, so that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam shahidan alaykum, he can be a witness for you. وَتَكُونُوا, so that you can be, now you as the Muslim, the nation of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-Ummatul Muhammadiyah, can be what? Shuhada, witness ala nas, upon the people that they receive the message. And mainly who are the shuhada intended here? The ulama and the tullab al-ilm. Understood? So what does Allah immediately say after that? Then if you've understood that, فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. فَأُن, هذا الفاء means then. In English, okay? In English, it means then. What do you say? فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. Then establish salah. وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ. You come with zakah. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِاللَّهِ. Okay? You seek your i'tisam, you surrender to Allah and seek your refuge from Allah. That's what you do. So if you realize that, where do you find tradition? How do we find values? For example, مثلا, I'll tell you, fiqh discusses about the woman, how should she wear. We debate about niqab, مثلا today. Is niqab a must or not? Is a woman sinful to not wear it? The madhahib have different opinions on that. Clearly, they do. The ahnaf is an obligation, you must. The Malikiyah say no, it's actually, in certain situations, it's makruh to wear niqab. Understood? In certain situations, to wear niqab is makruh. But we do not recommend a woman wearing a niqab. But there are certain situations, it's a must. She must wear a niqab. Does that make sense? The Shafi'iyah, there is a qawl in the Shafi'iyah that says you must wear a niqab. And some of the Shawafi', they say it's the unanimous position that they hold, that you must wear a niqab. So you realize from this, even if you look at the niqab issue, it's literally minor compared to what we are facing today. How should a woman wear? على النساء قفاز حر مكتفي بالوجه والكفين منها تكشفي. What does that mean? A woman should only keep open her face and her hands. But even her feet should be covered. Her entire body should be covered. And that's in order for her hajj to be accepted. If her hajj has to be accepted that way, then how about everything else? What she does? It means the Sharia has told you as a woman you have to cover all the way from top to toe. But your face can be open and your hands can be open. How simple like that. If we don't understand that, and fiqh has already tackled all of this, it will be very difficult for us to survive. So fiqh is not just a subject, but actually fiqh covers our entire everyday do's and don'ts. Every activities of ours. So we're going to finish off with the last thing on the sunnah. تجديد الضرب لليدين. We said that is to renew your strike on the whatever you're using of the earth for your tayammum. Like it. Do you strike as hard? No, you just touch. Understood? You just touch. But then, something that they mention over here, rather than which this sharh does not mention, it mentioned in the bigger sharh, they say that make sure when you literally use soyu mathalan, because you don't have a rock maybe and that you use soyu, make sure that soyu is dry, so that you don't loathe your face. Understood? حتى لا تلوث وجهك. So that you don't loathe your face. If it's raining, then you have to do that. You want to look like a Vietnamese warrior, that's fine. You just wipe it all over yourself, khalas. You'll be happy, inshallah. I hope that answers it, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. So in our next class, we'll just do the fadila, and as the fada'il we finish them off, we're going to do the salah, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. Actually, the fada'il, they're short as well. They're only 3. Let's cover those 3, inshallah. Just those 3 and we'll finish up. أما الفضائل, when it comes to فثلاثة, there are 3. And one of them is to start with Bismillah, at-tasmiyah. You start with Bismillah. Number 2 is al-bad'u bi-zahir al-yumna bil-yusra, is to start with the top of the first hand, which is the right hand. You start with the right hand, basically. Understood? And then number 3, which is number 2, and we said number 2 is to start with the right hand. Number 3 is mashul yusra mithla dhalik, is to do the same thing for the right, for the left. Why did they separate the 2? Because one can do that for the first and neglect the second. لذلك, they said on the meritorious part of it, you have to remember the third, the second hand as well. So the first meritorious deed is to do tasmiyah, to say Bismillah. If you don't do Bismillah, does that mean your tayammum is unaccepted? No, it's accepted. Understood? However, if you do not make the intention now, your tayammum does not become valid. It becomes invalid immediately. Understood? Intention. Ya ikhwah, intention number 1. And then the rest follows. So as we've concluded this class, all I want you to remember is the different parts of it. What are the fara'id of tayammum? What are the sunan of tayammum? What are the fada'il of tayammum? Like that. And what can you use for earth? From the earth itself, what can you use to do tayammum? Basic, that's the most basic I want you to take with you today. Khalas, that's it. And when it comes to intention, mathalan, we said, how do you make intention? In what position do you make a specific intention? In what position do you make a generic intention? And how many salahs can you cover, and what type of salahs can you cover in that tayammum in itself? How do you do it, and how do you keep your tayammum, inshallah ta'ala? Understood? It's as simple as that. So that in our next class we can cover things related to hukm al-shara'. And when we finish that, now you will realize how important salah is when we enter into salah bi'idhnillah al-kareem. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I'll tell you one thing, I honestly appreciate your patience. There's nothing that I would appreciate the most than your patience of staying behind. Wallahi al-azim. We had a full masjid all the way to the end, they all left. But you stayed behind, and I asked you if you can stay behind more, you did, and I took more than what you said. And Allah will bless you for that. And remember, as you stay behind for ilm, Allah grants you the nur of it, even if it's a dharra. Understood? And when you start tasting it, you should not let that fire die down. It's an ignition that you've literally ignited of the fire. So let it carry on like that, inshallah. Barakallahu fiqh.
First, Bismillah or Bismillah you want on way.
You just say Bismillah.
Not more than
No, just Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in Quran and Salah. But in everything else, even eating, you just say Bismillah. Bismillah, that's the sunnah. If we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in everything, one simple example scenario, if you want to slaughter the cow, and you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, by the moment you reach to ar-Rahman, the cow is gone.
Bismillah Allah Akbar.
Yes, Bismillah Allah Akbar, you're gone. But if you say Bismillah ar-Rahman, he's gone. Barakallahu fiqh, jazakumullah khairan. Yes,
If I did not come, I would miss that.
MashaAllah, let me give you a hug. Good boy. Your name is Yasir, right? Yes. MashaAllah. Yassaraka Allahu wa yassara Allahu laka hifdhal Quran. Say Ameen. You just can't leave it. The other imams are coming, they'll do with it.
The other Oops.
How are you? You okay?
I knew the class was today, but I forgot to tell my dad.
Come back later.
Tell him, inshallah. Tell him it's every Saturday.
Because they used to be Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, it used to be Monday.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
find it convenient for Saturday. It's like everyone can